Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ebony. I'm a furniture artist and I specialize in taking neglected pieces of furniture and turning them into something beautiful. So in today's video, I'll be transforming this dresser that I found on Facebook Marketplace for $40. And I'm so excited. Let's actually go ahead and take a flashback into that real quick. Okay, it took me long enough to get the camera going, but tell them, babe, tell them what just happened. Not just any dresser, an amazing dresser. Oh, I just cannot wait. Look, and this, oh, I can't even talk. Tell them, baby.
She's so excited.
I'm so excited. It's a pretty neighborhood too. Thank you. Okay, so moving right along, you guys know I like to start by removing the hardware and then cleaning my piece thoroughly with either TSP or a TSP substitute. So here I am just filling in some holes with Bondo. There were 2 sets of hardware holes on every drawer, and I just wanted to fill in 1 set. At this point, my plan was to keep the existing hardware. Now you will see in the end that I switched up the hardware, but it still worked out, so that's what I'm gonna do right here. Okay, so as we move along to the sanding process, I'm finding myself going in a completely different direction than I had intended. So the plan originally was to scuff sand the entire dresser and paint it one solid color. But as you'll see, it definitely doesn't go that way. I ended up deep sanding the top of the dresser and the base of the dresser, and I just kind of want to do something completely different than what I had originally planned. Okay, so now for the paint wash. This is something I've done a couple times in the past, and I really haven't had the best results when I do this, but I wanted to give it one more try. So I watched a video before I tried this myself, and I heard from Christina Muscari that you should apply water to your entire surface so that your brush will glide more smoothly. So that's what I'm doing here, but I learned quickly that I applied way too much water, so I kind of fixed that by just allowing it to absorb. And then I applied my second coat, which went on much better. Now I will say I'm not a fan of the color, so I'm gonna do this entire thing all the way through. But in the end, I decided to sand it off completely and just start over. So I did all of that off camera, but it's the same process. So I just went into my garage and I looked at my paint that I had on hand, and I found another color. It was more of a putty color, but it ultimately ended up looking more like a whitewash. I don't have the name of it because it was not on the jar. It was another sample size paint and it just had a barcode on it. But that's what I ended up using in the end. Just a couple of quick tips that I'll tell you guys about that I learned along the way. One is I would just encourage you to use paper towels instead of wasting your lint-free cloths. I feel like they work just the same, and I feel like buying a roll of paper towels is cheaper. And then the other thing is to work horizontally like you see me doing here, because you will see your start and stop marks. Even if you do it in 3 sections, that's great. But working vertically was really hard to make the paint wash blend. Okay, so now I'm just going to apply my Zen Ben shellac based primer, and then I'm going to sand it back with a fine grit sandpaper before I apply my paint. Now for the painting process, I'm also using Axalta again. I showed you guys and I talked about this in my last video. If you haven't seen it already, go ahead and check that out. But Axalta is supposed to be a very durable, scuff resistant paint that is just amazing. And so I got this from Dunn Edwards, and I'm just going to apply 2 coats, making sure to sand in between each coat with a fine grit sandpaper. Okay, so these legs I ordered on Amazon. Now this one here is how they come. It's actually sealed and finished and everything. But the one there in the styrofoam is one that I sanded back. And I used a 220 grit sandpaper to sand it back. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply my paint wash off camera, doing the very same technique that I did earlier on the top of the dresser. Okay, so when it came time to apply my legs, I ended up trying to do the same technique that I did in my last video, and it actually it doesn't work with this particular dresser and the way that it's constructed. I was just having a really difficult time. I ended up having to just be creative, and I just came up with something on my own. I did not want to share that here on this video just because it's not something I want people to be able to say, like, I learned how to do this from Ebony over on Beauty from Neglect, because it's not really something I would just encourage everybody to do. I definitely took as much precautions as I could, and I tried to add extra support down here, but it just wasn't something I wanted to make a video showing you guys how I did it. So just know I did my best. It worked out. I've tested the dresser. It's standing firm. It's just something I had to do make an exception for, and yeah, that's that. But moving right along to the hardware, I learned this from Butch and Bulldog. So check them out on Instagram. I don't think they have a YouTube channel, but I'm not sure. But yeah, so she just uses some wooden dowels, and She glues them on in the front and then screws them in from the back. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. Now, I got my dowels from Hobby Lobby for about $4. It was like $3 and some change, so $4. It came in a pack of 4. I know you only see me whitewashing 3 of them. I just completely wasn't thinking. I actually need 7 hardware pulls, so I ended up using that 4th dowel. It took me a minute to remember that I needed 7. So I got them, like I said, in the 4-pack. They're 12 inches long, which was perfect because I was just able to cut them directly in half. And it just made everything so much more, it just flowed easily. So you're gonna see me cut them here in a second using my new miter saw that I got on Facebook Marketplace for $50. It was a steal. It comes with this workbench, and I just thought that was amazing. And as far as the Ziploc bag that just blew away, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this tip, but if you put your paintbrush in a Ziploc bag and throw it in the refrigerator, you can use it several times over before you have to wash your paintbrush out. Now, as far as the gold wire that you might have noticed in the last clip, I was going to wrap the center of these dowels with some gold beading wire just to add a little bit of pizzazz. I saw that Butch and Bulldog, she uses twine most of the time, and I just thought I wanted to be different, and I thought I could use beading wire, but I didn't like the look I was getting, so I just scratched that and I just kept them plain, and I think it looks beautiful. So you guys can let me know what you guys think about it. I think it looks amazing, but I know everybody has their own style, so just let me know what you think. And as far as this saw, I think it's great. It's not as scary as it might seem, just because it's like, I don't know, it's just easy to use. You can see where your fingers are, and you don't have to worry about cutting them off. And I was really satisfied with this tool. Okay, so we're nearing the end of this process, and I'm actually going to go ahead and seal the top of the dresser and the base of the dresser using my water-based poly. So you might be wondering why I don't seal the rest of the body of the dresser, and that's because I specifically look for paint that doesn't require it, and this is what the sales rep encouraged me to buy, the Exalta paint, like I told you guys about earlier, and it doesn't need to be sealed. And so I do that, 1, to save time, but 2, to save cost on supplies, and 3, because to be honest, top coats intimidate me and I don't always have the best experience. So if I can avoid that at all cost, I will. But this one actually turned out pretty good. The only thing I probably would do different is just kind of wait for the sun to go down. I didn't want to do this in the shady areas of the driveway just because, I don't know, it might be in my head, but those are the more dusty areas that I work in. And I know I'm outside, so that probably doesn't make sense to you, but I know when I'm painting, stuff is always landing in my paint when I'm on that side of the driveway, and I'm able to fix it, but I don't want to deal with that when I'm doing a top coat. And then also it's very windy, as you can see, but I was trying to get this done before we went on our anniversary vacation. So this was the last day that I had, and I was able to make it work. I did 2 coats on the top and the bottom, and that's that. Okay, so I want to really quickly show you guys how I'm attaching this hardware. This is actually the original hardware. You guys seen this in the beginning of the video, but I opted to go with the dowels. So what I'm using is E6000. I'm gonna glue them on, and then I finally found the comment where she answered the question of how she attaches it. So after they're glued down, we're gonna come back and screw them in from behind. I was so grateful to find that comment because I had been looking for the answer. Oops. I've been looking for the answer to that, so going okay. I messed around and put the door on first, which was a big mistake because now that pull right there keeps sliding. I tried to tape it, so I'm just gonna have to take it off, lay it flat, and do it just like I'm doing the drawers. So I guess the hardest part is just trying to make sure that they're centered and lined up with each other. So I'm trying to get it as even as possible. It might not be perfect, but I'm gonna do my best.